host, Lloyd Shoemaker, with Coach Grasso.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this edition of the Coaches Show. I'm Lloyd Shoemaker, your host, and this is the 2019-2020 edition of the boys basketball program here at Piqua High School. Along with me today is the star of the program, and that's Coach Grasso. Coach, I want to talk a little bit about the team you've got put together so far. Came out to one of your practices, one of your open gyms. I was impressed with the number of boys that wanted to play basketball this year.
Yeah, we're excited about the numbers of players that we have, and it's been my main goal since I became the head coach here 3 years ago to not only get the numbers up, but then, which is something that I think really started with Coach Butler before me, but then also to really start honing our players' skills so we have not only a lot of players, but a lot of players who play the game in a skillful fashion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you've been able to narrow that down. I'm sure it was tough to have to cut anybody, but how many players do you actually have on the varsity team this year?
So we have, when we first started, it was a number of 14, and we've withstood a few injuries, but we have 12 to 13 at any given time on the varsity, and we have 12 on the JV and 13 on the freshmen. So good numbers.
Very good numbers.
And as you mentioned, we did let a few go that we might have kept in the past, and it's nothing to say that they weren't good enough to participate. It's just that the caliber of players that we're getting now are really improving. So it's a good sign for basketball around here.
You mentioned the caliber of players. You're getting more athletic, more about basketball.
A little bit of everything. We've really implemented as far as the fitness and athleticism and strength. Almost all of our guys work in the weight program with the football team with Coach Neese. So they're either taking their weight training class in school or they lift after school. And then as far as the skill work, we really focus on that in the off season to improve ball handling, shooting, passing, and then it carries over into the season when we can start putting the teams together. So,
when you look at your roster for this year, and I got this off the Miami Valley League website, and you've got 6 seniors that you've got out there, and then you got junior. You got 1 freshman. We'll talk about him a little bit, but it's 6 seniors. You only had 3 last year, I think.
Yep.
And again, we're short the really big guy. I mean, you got really big guys,
yeah,
but you don't have the really tall guy. Tall big guy.
That's one thing that we just we don't seem to have, but we're kind of more of a strength in numbers team where we will. This team I'm really excited about because over the course of our first couple of scrimmages and in practice as well, we're 10, 11, 12 guys deep on the varsity, where if we sub in, there's not going to be a substantial drop off. Whereas, last year, for example, with the team, we had a few guys who we really relied upon, and then if we had to sub in there was going to be a drop off, and even that dips into a couple of guys who are on the JV team this year as well. Some injuries happen, and we could pull a few guys up, and I don't think we'd miss a beat. So, like I said, it's just a testament to kind of where the program's headed. So, well,
the scrimmage I came to was the 3 teams. I think it was Botkins and you, and who was the 3rd team in there? Oh,
last week we had Bell Fountain and Bradford.
Oh, Bell Fountain and Bradford.
Yes.
I noticed that you in that ball game, you substituted 5 for 5. Mm-hmm. You didn't just 1 or 2. You did 5 for 5.
Yep.
I honestly didn't see anything different.
Right.
I really didn't see anything different.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's an exciting thing to have, especially with when you have guys like that you can depend upon that many of players. We can really kind of play at a good pace without expending a lot of energy, and then that takes its toll on the other team, where we can put in a wave of 4 or 5 new guys, and we just ask they play as hard as they can for 4 or 5 minutes in spurts, and take your break, come out, be a good teammate while you're on the bench, and then go back in and give it your all again.
Eventually, and I'm going to compare this to football, but with Coach Neese's team, they are always in such good condition that we win a lot of ball games that we're losing when we get in deep into the fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
And I think you're going to drive some teams nuts by being able to start that fourth quarter with any 5 guys and halfway through replace them with another 5 guys, and they're not going to know they're different except for the numbers.
Right, exactly.
They're playing with the same level of intensity and ability as the first 5.
Yep, absolutely. So it's kind of what we're looking for this year. I'm excited about having that. It's different from even the best teams that I've had in the past. A team that was at Yellow Springs when I was the head coach there was a district champion and regional finalist. We had a great group of 5, and then we had 1 sub for a guard and 1 sub for a post player, and that was it. So this is it's a different style of team, but exciting nonetheless. So.
Well, whoever playing the post against us this coming year has got to think, oh my gosh, here comes another one of those guys.
Yeah.
Because you got Riley Hill and you got Iverson.
And Jarrell.
So, and he's not as tall as the other guys, but he's probably the strongest one out there, and he has no fear.
That's right. So and he's I know he had an excellent football season, and he's on some radars as a Division I football player. So
absolutely.
I mean, when you bring that type of tenacity and toughness and just a physical game, that kind of negates this. On our last scrimmage the other night on Tuesday, we had Middletown Fenwick, and they have a 6'9" center who's was a kind of a taller, skinnier, and our guys would just put their body and their weights on him, and they'd move him around out of the places he wanted to be. So it's a give and take when you have the height and the length, but sometimes some physicality doesn't hurt either. So.
Well, the thing about Lewis is that if I'm guarding him and he gets the ball and all of a sudden smiles at me, I'm just going to get out of the way because he's going to go to the basket.
Yep.
He's got such a great attitude about that. And let's talk a little bit about your seniors. You got Owen Curtis and who's the other one here? Cameron Foster. Let's talk about those 2.
Those 2 guys are both. Cameron has been around since his freshman year, and he's somebody who went from, I think, maybe 5'2" or 5'3" when I first came here. It was going into his sophomore year, and it was at our basketball camp. And I thought he was one of the youth campers. He's grown up to about 6'1" now, and just been a consistent hard worker. And he's he's a culture captain. He's always the guy that's getting people to talk on defense and motivate. May not be the guy that you see on the floor playing a whole lot of minutes, but when he goes in there, he's going to give the best he can, and he'll always have a great attitude for the team. Owen came out he was on the JV team as a sophomore, did not come out last year, and this summer put in a lot of work and effort. And in many cases, when that happens, it's really hard to kind of add a senior back in when you've already kind of built a team. But he was just a consistent hard worker. He showed up at all the workouts, came to every open gym, came to every summer league, and it's hard to let a guy go like that shows so much devotion to the team. So again, not on as far as don't know if he'll be on the court each and every game, but when he does go in there, he's a really good shooter. Definitely like those corner threes, and he has an ability to knock those down, and so he's somebody who will be an important part of the team overall.
Who's the guy on your team that you're going to be able to lob it to for the slam dunk?
Well, Keegan Patton is a junior player who has a really nice athleticism and probably a 36, 38-inch vertical, but he's only 5'11", 6 foot. So we have a few plays where he gets some lobs. I don't know if he's ready for the dunk yet or not. Yeah. So a couple of these guys can get up there and grab the rim, and they have aspirations of dunking, but I don't know if they were quite there just yet.
Let's talk about Zach Levy and Kyle.
Yeah, so Levy was a defensive guard for us last year. Not afraid of anybody, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about last year's schedule. But we played some of the best players in the state of Ohio last year, and he was not scared at any point to guard. And Andre Gordon, who's now starting at a Division I college as a guard, Samari Curtis, on a Division I team. So he's a tough guy. Unfortunately, he injured his knee on the very first practice, and as of now, the prognosis looks like the best opportunity for him he's going to heal up for a while and begin strengthening to get ready for his senior baseball season.
Oh.
So if he's going to be around the team, and he'll be over in the games on the bench and so forth. But you hate to see it, because he loves being a part of the team and being a good player for us. But unfortunately, the injuries can happen. But like I said, he'll be around. And then Kyle Peters is another senior who is got a little bit of height, 6'2" or so, kind of an inside-outside player. And he'll be one who, if we need he provides the thing that he has going, maybe not in his favor. We mentioned a few big guys already, so he's kind of buried in the depth chart a little bit. But again, he's a great guy that really enjoys being around the team. He loves basketball and is a good teammate. So when he gets his opportunities, hopefully he'll make the most of them.
Iverson and Riley Hill, I noticed. Is there a spot on the floor that Iverson can't make a three from?
Not really. No, he's a pretty. When he comes in on the court, it's in his range. So that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, the other thing that's going to create problems for people is he's left-handed.
Left-handed player, yeah. That's
right. Excuse me. You don't expect that to come out of him, but in the scrimmage I saw, he was 10 feet behind the line and just let one fly.
Yeah, I think some of it comes from, he's a baseball pitcher, and the accuracy and those things kind of come naturally. And also a plug for left-handed people. I'm a lefty myself, so it seems like our shots are always a little nicer, and throw the ball a little nicer and things like that. So.
Well, isn't the Seaver kid a lefty also?
Seaver's a lefty, yep. So Cameron Foster's a lefty. We have a few lefties around.
And then Riley, he's basically going to be inside making people move, right?
That's right. And then, he has a nice soft touch, and he has the ability to knock down some perimeter shots as well. So people have to choose, when they're guarding them on defense. If they leave him open out there at the 3-point line, he can stand there and shoot them in all day long. So. That's a good thing to have when the other teams have to match up their big guys to our big guys who can step out on the court a little bit. So. Okay,
and you've got one freshman on your team this year, Drayshawn.
Yeah. Drayshawn Roberts is going to be a guard for us. Very tenacious defender. Maybe one of the top 2 or 3 defenders, on-ball defenders that we have in the program as a freshman right now. Plays at a high level in AAU leagues, and he travels in the summertime to different places around, not just around the area, but around the country. So he's been in some high-level games, and we threw him out in the summer in some varsity summer leagues, and you wouldn't tell the difference. And if you come to some of our practices and you come to the scrimmages, there's he doesn't carry himself as if he's a freshman. He fits right into the game. So
yeah, he does. But you're right. He's played in some pretty high level against some better players, older players. I think his entire basketball career.
Right.
He's always in this league.
Yeah. So we're excited about having him see what he can do this year.
Let's talk about some of your guys from last year. 3 guys particularly. One of them I'm really interested in finding out. What's Trey Richmond doing? Trey
Richmond and Corey Tucker went to Hawking College. And it sounds like to me, I think Trey is now set up to go into the military. So he had gave it a shot out there. It sounds like his career path's going to take him into the military, and Corey's at Hawking still. So, and I know they're both finishing up this. For the last I talked to them, they're finishing up this first semester of school. So We'll see where it goes from there. The other seniors. Mick and Zach both have jobs around town, and we see Mick from time to time, and then I know Zach. Someone mentioned, actually one of our coaches said they saw him working at AutoZone recently. So around town here and doing some things. So
I thought somebody had told me that Mick was going to go to Edison and play some ball.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he is doing that or not. I know he was. He had aspirations of going into he was going to go into the police force or something along those lines. So hopefully he's following up with that.
Well, this is your third year here in Piqua, and it must be going okay for you because you keep coming back. And I know everyone's happy about that. Last year, 7-16. 2 years ago, 10-13, and then 8-15 your first year.
Well, so my first year was 10-13.
10-13. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yes, 7-16 last. And then this year you're going to go 22-0.
There we go. We'll focus on 1-0 against Butler, and we'll go from there.
Start them out. That's Coach Neese is every year his objective is to go 10-0, and he just says we'll win every one at a time. That's all you can do. You can't get too far ahead of yourself.
That's all you can do.
Well, let's talk about your opponents this year. We got the new Miami Valley League, and we're not going to be playing up against some of those teams down in the Dayton area like we have been in the past with the G-Walk. I'm not going to be disappointed. Trotwood's not going to come here.
They're not on there anymore, yeah.
Yeah, so, but the one carryover is Miamisburg.
Yep.
They were pretty good last year. You got them on the schedule later on, I believe.
Yes.
The last half of the schedule. We start out with Butler on a Tuesday. That would be on the 3rd of December. And then on that Friday night, the 6th of December, will be Sydney coming here. So you're starting 2 games at home. Last year, I think you started 3 or 4 games away, didn't you?
Yeah, so normally the schedule flips back and forth. And so we have, this year, we have 3 of our first 4, I think, at home. And even if you add in the holiday tournament, I think 6 of our first 9 are at home. So that's a nice way to get the season started. That being said, I'd say Butler graduated a lot. Ranked in the state last year as a top 10 team, and but they have a lot of depth in their program. Their JV team was really excellent, and their freshman team was really excellent. And so they're bringing back some good players. And so right off the bat, we're playing against probably the team that might be favored to win the conference, I think, in our very first game. So
do you guys have a vote on where the teams are going to finish? Do you guys do that?
There's nothing like that. They just sometimes, I'll get asks, and if they want to handicap the league, if you will. Okay. And so I would say, just based on what they have coming back this year, they do have a new coach, so that it'll provide a little bit of a different, maybe a different style of play, or we'll see what happens when we get to watch a little bit of film. Sydney obviously loses Andre Gordon, and then their post player. It's funny to say they lost their all-time leading scorer, assist man, rebounder, and block shot man in 2 players. So it helps for us to not have to play against those guys anymore.
That's definitely. But what do they look like besides that? I mean, that's only 2 out of 12.
Well, so they'll have some players coming back who were players. The other guy, they lost their 3 best top guys. So there were another guy who was a wing defender and would make some threes, was a really tough defensive player. So, I think they're in a similar boat as us, where they'll have a whole new look to their team this year.
I mentioned Miamisburg, which is back in 21st of January, I guess it is.
Yep.
And then I also noticed in here Tecumseh. We're playing Tecumseh
this year.
Yeah,
that's one of the ones that we have early in the season. That's the other out-of-conference game that we have. So they had last year. They had a kid that was real hot in the first half, and I think had maybe 25 or 28 points in the first half, and we had to come from a big deficit. We ended up cutting. I think we lost by 1 point at the end, but we're going to make sure that's going to be of most importance to not allow that guy, because he's back, to not allow him to get hot early.
Yeah.
So
shut him down right away.
Yep.
The holiday tournament looks like it's going to be Bethel and Lehman.
Yep. Bethel, Lehman, and Troy Christian.
Troy Christian, yeah. And you are defending champions.
Yes, yeah, we took that last year, and that was an interesting time because I actually was hit with, and it's the first time in many years that I got the flu, but I sat on the bench, and Coach Gillespie last year was my assistant, and he coached the games, and I just kind of watched with the little energy that I had, enough to sit there. So, but it was great for us to experience something positive, and we'll do our best to defend it again this year.
And we talked before we went on the air, the games again this year are going to be, the freshmen start at 5:30?
4:30,
4:30?
6 and 7:30. So
4:30. So you got the freshman game. You're always going to be a freshman game.
Yep.
And then the middle game's either going to be the JV against JV or the girls varsity against the girls varsity. And then, of course, the varsity game will be the varsity.
Correct.
So for those fans of you that want to get out early and watch that freshman game, they're going to start at 4:30. And then you can stick around for the next two games after that if you like. Outside of yourselves, who's going to give you the most trouble in the league this year?
Well, like I said, I would probably I'd say Butler might be a favorite for the league. Troy brings back a lot of players. They were pretty young last year, and we're playing at a good pace. And Tip City brings back, I would say, maybe the tallest team in the league, mentioned our size or lack thereof overall. That's something that could potentially cause us some problems in there. They have kind of taller, lankier players that are good shooters. So it'll be interesting this year. Like I said, there's a lot of turnover in players overall. So things will be open in where we're at with our team being a kind of a deeper team. I like our chances. So.
Well, and looking at the schedule, it seems to be a lot more fair as far as the school sizes are concerned.
Definitely in the Miami Valley League, right? Yeah, that's for sure. So we are all, similar size schools, and then, now I say that at some point, our 18 or 25 kids that push us into that D1 sectional where we still have to match up against Springfield and Centerville and Wayne and the schools of that are 2 and 3 times the size of us. If we could figure out a way to drop into a D2 sectional where the teams are similar size schools, that would help. But that's another story.
I didn't realize we were still over that limit.
Yeah. For in the state tournament sectional, yeah, we're there by 20 or so. So
any chance we can bust those kids out?
Yeah, that's what I said. Maybe we can figure out somewhere to take them. But
okay. Anything else to add for the first show this year?
Just looking forward to a good season, and like I said, we'll be an exciting team to watch because there'll be a lot of guys going in and out and playing very hard. So it'll be we'll be a fun team to come and see.
All right. Listen, thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time. Stay healthy.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
And keep the kids healthy.
All right.
All right. We want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.